Now, Michele, I know you're excited. I know you have a lot of stats to get to, so we should probably just dive right in because we don't want to run out of time when you have so many stats. I know how excited you get for the stats show.
And hopefully I don't talk too fast so everyone can keep up with me.
Well, how many coffees have you had today?
Only 2.
Only 2?
Yeah,
but when did you have those 2? Like an hour ago or like just before we got on air?
Pretty much just before we got on air.
Okay, so we're going to do, 12 minutes of stats in about 3 minutes is what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
All right, well, let's get right to it. No need to drag it out any longer. Let's hear the stats.
Okay, so Canada house prices, how far could they fall? Let's talk about that first, and then we'll get into the stats, because then you'll see. So sales and price growth have slowed in the housing market in recent weeks, and then we're going to talk about all of Canada and not just the Fraser Valley. So it's not a secret that Canada is currently in the throes of a housing market cool down. There's no surprise there. But with the pace of home sales falling in April and national house prices also on the way down. So new figures released by the Canadian Real Estate Association, we call it CREA, revealed that the country's home price index fell 0.6% between March and April, its first decline for over 2 years, as home resales also dropped by 12.6%. Unsurprisingly, CREA said that slowdown had been caused largely by recent interest rate hikes, with mortgage rates rising as the Bank of Canada and lenders across the country move away from the rock-bottom rate environment that's prevailed throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. That's not to say a crash is imminent. The actual national average home price has now declined for 2 months in a row after peaking in February, and that's the first half of February. According to CREA, the prices are still about 7% higher than last April. Meanwhile, the home price index is 23.8% up compared with the same time last year, although that represents a smaller yearly increase than the 29% it recorded in February. While the market isn't seeing the same number of transactions as last year, that's mainly because 2021 was an anomaly, according to Kitchener, Ontario-based principal broker Tracy Valco. So she's the founder of Valco Financial. Okay, so she told Canadian Mortgage Professional that the activity remained robust, with agents and brokers now having explanatory discussions with their clients and focusing on the educational aspect of what's happening in the current market. She says, I feel we're busy, but we're busier educating people and having more economic conversations. I think people understand inflation probably more than they ever have historically, so maybe that's a good thing, she said. I do think there's a bit of a shift for sure in terms of transactions. We're doing more second mortgages, more lines of credit. The current cool down is also presenting opportunity for many home buyers. Valco said, with lower demand and fewer bidding wars, meaning a less stressful overall experience for those looking to buy. She says, I have to say, I find a lot of our clients are finding houses where before they weren't, of course. They were sitting because they weren't able to find a house. She goes, I wouldn't say there's more inventory on the market. I would say because there's not a huge demand, they've slowed down. Now, for us in the Fraser Valley, we know that in February we had more listings hit the market than we've seen in the 80s. So, of course, this is Canada-wide, not just the Fraser Valley. So that's kind of what's happening with that. So real estate, Royal LePage is a brokerage, the first brokerage ever in Canada, and the first brokerage I was with before I moved to Remax. But they also said aggregate home prices across the country would continue to rise, revealing in its full year forecast that it expected that benchmark to increase by 15% this year and land at around $900,000 by the end of 2022. That would include a 16.5% price hike in the Greater Vancouver area to about $1.3 million, with the Greater Vancouver area, the other of the country's two hottest markets, projected to see its aggregate sale price rise to $1.44 million. That's an increase of 15%. So with that, I'm going to go into our local stats, and that just came out a couple days ago, and it says home prices soften as Fraser Valley housing market cools amid lower sales and higher inventory. As property sales continue to fall in the Fraser Valley and active listings continue to grow, the region is edging towards more balanced levels not seen since the pre-pandemic period. If you see this graph, that's part of the statistics, And again, on my website, michelecummins.ca, scroll all the way down and you will see every month's stats I have there. So you can compare all the month to month and how it's gone down February to March, March to April, and now April to May. So have a look there. But the graph shows you that from a very high seller's market, it is now what we call in the blue zone, which is a balanced market. I should say it's just above a balanced market, literally just above it. So it's almost a balanced market again. Sales of all property types in May were 1,360, down 16.9% from April's 637, and down 53.9% compared to May of 2021. At the same time, active listings have more than tripled since December 2021. At the end of May, actives sat at 5.4% higher year over year and an increase of 14.8% compared to April 2022. The sales to active listings ratio measures whether the market is balanced and 12 to 20%, or favors either buyers, which is less than 12%, or sellers that are greater than 20%. So in May, the ratio for Fraser Valley, all property types combined, was 22%, comparable to pre-pandemic conditions in early 2020. So by comparison, during the pandemic, the ratio peaked at 92%, indicating a very strong seller's market. So that's the difference. So since March, this is actually quoted from the current president of our real estate board. Since March, we've seen sales come down with an accompanying increase in inventory subsequently, restoring much-needed balance and cooling our heated market. So that's Sandra Benz, that president. And she further says, while still early, it suggests that as we gradually settle into a post-pandemic state of work and life, the big pandemic-era drivers, working from home and record low interest rates, may have run their course. So single-family detached benchmark prices for the overall Fraser Valley is currently at $1,712,500, and that's a decrease of 2.4% compared to April, and an increase of 26.2% from May of 2021. So year over year, it's still up. Townhouses are at $918,900. That's the benchmark price, and that's a decrease month over month of 1.4%, but it's still an increase 31.3% from last year. And apartments are at $581,400, and that's a decrease month over month by 1.1%, but an increase still of 30% compared to last year. So the sky isn't quite falling. Got to look at everything. And so now we're going to go into municipality by municipality. So Abbotsford's first. Detached benchmark prices are at $1,420,200, an increase from last year still of 23.7%, but a decrease of 3.3%. Townhouses are at $751,000. That's an increase of last year still of 36.6%. And it actually, townhouses went up month over month in Abbotsford for 1.3%. Apartments are $490,300, and that's an increase of 39.3% from last year, but it did go down 1.6% from the month before. Mission's detached benchmark prices are at $1,193,600, an increase of 24.3% from last year, but a decrease month over month by 5.9%, which is pretty big. Townhouses in Mission are at $762,000. That actually went up month over month, just like it did in Abbotsford. It went up 1.6% month over month, and so that's a total from last year of 36.1%. Apartments actually went up too in Mission month over month by 3.1%, which is a total of 36.4% from last year, and that takes them to $488,700. Then White Rock in the South Surrey area, benchmark prices for detached homes is at $2,133,400. That just went down slightly, which is 0.7% from last month. Still an increase of 24.3% from the year before. And townhouses there are at $1,030,700. That went down month over month 2.1%, but still at 27.2% from the year before. And apartments at $642,900. That went down only 0.9% from last month, but up still 23.6% from the year before. Langley benchmark prices for detached is $1,838,900. That went down 1.8% from last month, and it's still 25.7% higher than last year. Townhouses are at $946,500. That actually went up too last month, 1.2%. over year is now 35.7%. And apartments in Langley are at 640,500. That only went down month over month 0.8%. So a total of 29.5% from last year. So Delta North, that area, benchmark detached prices are $1,589,200. That went down 3.1% from last month. A total increase now of 26.1% from last year. And townhouses are $1,024,200. That went down month over month 2.1%, but still up 30.2% from last year. And apartments at $640,500. It decreased 1% from last month, but increased year over year 35.8%. Then we've got City of Surrey, all combined. Detached benchmark prices, $1,849,400, went down 2.1% from last month, but overall up 27.3% from last year. In townhouses, $942,500, down 2.9% from last year, but still overall up 28.7% from last year. And apartments at $581,800, that went down 1.2% from last year, but overall still 28.1% from last year. So with that is the Fraser Valley real estate statistics for you today.